All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to yoga. I am Delia, and we are going to start today in child's pose, so in a supported child's pose. And as I said before, if that's not comfortable for your knees for any reason, you can always put a towel under the knees or a blanket, but you can just come to a comfortable seat somewhere where your hips are supported, so on top of a folded blanket or a towel or a bolster. So I'm going to take my knees as wide as my yoga mat. My big toes are touching. I'm lucky enough to have a yoga bolster, but you can do this with a stack of pillows or even a couple of big blankets. I'm going to pull my bolster right up against the inner parts of my thighs. And then I'm just going to drape my front body over the bolster. And if it's more comfortable, you can put your forehead down on the bolster, or you can just lay one ear on top of it. And I will let you know when to switch sides. Oops. I don't want to be crushing my microphone here. So just take a moment to find your comfortable supported child's pose. Just allowing the body to soften over whatever's supporting you. Maybe closing the eyes here. And just feeling the mat beneath you. And feeling any areas of the body that are holding tension begin to soften just a little bit more. Noticing how the breath is moving today. If you're laying down on a bolster or a prop, it may be kind of challenging to feel the breath in the belly. So seeing if you can feel the breath moving in the side body and the back body. And beginning to smooth the breath out, beginning to deepen it. And taking a moment here to check in with yourself. How are you feeling today? Mentally, physically, emotionally? What brought you onto your mat? Maybe taking a moment here to recognize that the hard part is over. You have gotten on your mat, and however you're feeling about that, however you're feeling today emotionally, mentally, or physically, there's no right answer. So just recognizing what's there, trying to play a passive observer. Maybe taking a few moments here if you'd like to set an intention or a dedication for your practice. Continuing to deepen the breath. If you had one ear on your bolster, go ahead and switch to the other ear. And taking a few more deep, deep, full breaths here today. Really arriving in your body. Closing the eyes can kind of help us go more inside, bring our attention internally to what's going on, how we're feeling. And give yourself one more deep, full breath. And then very slowly start to walk your hands back Start to use the palms to press yourself up out of your child's pose, moving really slow. We've been in this position for a while, so I'm already feeling that my knees have started to go to sleep a little bit. So move very slowly. You can move your bolster, your props aside, and we're going to come into table. So if you need to pad the knees or the wrists for table, please go ahead. Take a moment to make yourself as comfortable as possible. And then when you're ready, spread the fingers nice and wide. Knees are right under the hips. Wrists can be underneath the shoulders. They can also be a little bit in front of the shoulders to kind of take some of the pressure off of the wrists here. And let's inhale, drop the belly, open the heart, top of the head and tailbone, gently lift. And exhale, rounding through the spine, chin draws to the chest. Press the yoga mat away with your hands and feet. Inhale, belly drops, heart opens. And exhale, drawing the belly button in, rounding the back. One more, just like that. Inhale to drop the belly. And exhale, rounding through the spine. And then let's come back to center table. We're going to continue our cat-cow. We're just going to change it a little. So if you are comfortable with this cat-cow, go ahead and continue just a traditional cat-cow. Otherwise, join me in kind of rolling through. So we're going to sit back, child's pose, rounding the back, tucking the chin. And then I'm going to either drop my elbows or they're just going to come close. They don't have to touch the mat. And I'm going to roll through as I drop my belly and open my heart. And then I'm tucking the chin first before I start to sit back, and then I'm pressing the hips. So moving through this rolling cat-cow, if that's comfortable for you, or just a traditional cat-cow. I'm just getting some movement nice and slow and easy into the spine. Let's do one round. And when you're back in almost your child's pose here, go ahead and walk both hands to the right side of the mat. If it's comfortable, you can place the left palm on top of the right, dropping the head. Breathing into the left side body. And then walk the hands through center over to the left. Right palm can come on top if that feels comfortable. Softening the head and neck. And then slowly walk the hands back to center. Let's press back up to table. All right. So go ahead and grab a block and just place it at the top of your mat. I'm actually going to scoot back a little bit so I have some room, or near the top of your mat, somewhere where it's in reach. All right. So on our next inhale, we're going to extend that right leg back and we're lifting the toes. So my foot is flexed and active, and I'm trying to kind of balance the weight between both hands if I can. So core is pulling in. See if you can lift from the inner thigh. Inhale here. Exhale, squeeze the knee towards the nose, round the back, think cat. And inhale to extend. And exhale, squeeze the knee to the nose. One more time. Inhale, extend. And exhale, squeeze the knee to the nose. We're going to extend one more time and go ahead and drop the toes to the mat. So you're pressing back into the heel. That leg is nice and straight. And then let's dial the toes over to the left just a little bit. And if you'd like, you can stay here or you can look over your left shoulder. Pressing into both hands evenly. Take one more breath. And then come back to center. Take that foot back to the right. And we're going to bend the knees, step the foot up. So we're coming up here with the hands on the thigh into our lunge. If you need to take a moment to come out of the lunge to pad that back knee, please do. And let's grab that block and take it over to the right side. So mine's on the outside of my right leg. It may be the same color as my pants, so it might be a little hard for you to see it. And I have my block on its highest setting. So take the hands to the thigh and then take the right hand as if you were tucking it into your back pocket here. So we're not really going to lean into the lunge today. We're just going to open the front. Take both hands to the back pockets. We're just going to lean into it with our hips so that we're opening the front of that left thigh. So what I'm going to do, and if you need the right hand for support on the thigh, that's okay, is I'm going to tuck my tailbone. So as I'm up here, I'm just tucking the tailbone, especially on that left side, as much as I can. And you should begin to feel that stretch along the left side of the front of the thigh. So lifting the chest, lifting the top of the head, really tucking the tailbone here actively. Give it one more breath. Lift the spine as straight as you can. Tuck that tail. And then release. Let's take the left hand to the outside of that right thigh. And I'm just going to take my right hand to the back of my hip and I'm twisting a little bit to the right. Nice deep breaths. And then come back to center. We're going to take that right hand to the block. So even if it's just your fingertips touching, that's okay. You just are needing it for a little bit of support and stability here. So I'm going to take my left hand up and I'm going to do a gentle side bend over to the right. So I'm just leaning into that block just a little bit, trying to expand the left side body. Give it one more breath. And slowly release. Go ahead and bring the hands down to the mat. You can set the block aside. We're going to use it for the other side, so make sure you can still grab it. We're going to take that right knee back. Go ahead and take the knees together, big toes together. Let's drop the hips to the right. Look over your left shoulder. Both knees stay on the mat. Come back to center. Drop the hips left, look over the right shoulder. And come back to center. Let's go ahead and separate the knees one more time. We're going to take the other side. So hands are planted. Really press into the knuckles for some support here. I'm going to inhale and extend that left leg long. The toes are flexed, pointing straight down. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze the knee to the nose, round the back. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, squeeze it in. One more time. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, squeeze it in. We're going to lengthen the leg again and drop the toes to the mat. And then we're going to gently move the toes over to the right. So my left foot is crossing my right a little bit. Not so much that I'm feeling off balance. Draw your belly button in. And then if you'd like, you can look over the right shoulder. Give it one more breath. Back to center with the head. Dial the toes back to center. And we're going to hug that knee in and step it forward. So take a moment to get situated here. Grab your block. Make sure it's on the left side of your left leg. Pad that right knee if you need to. And make sure that your knees and your hips are feeling stable. So you want your hips to be pointing straight forward. I have a tendency to make my lunge a little wide, so my leg goes out at an angle. So just make any adjustments you need. And then take that right hand to the back of the right hip and sit up nice and tall through the spine. So really lengthen the top of the head towards the ceiling and start to tuck your tailbone, especially on that right side. You should start to feel that activation all the way down the front. A little goes a long way here. A lot of people are really tight in the front in the hip flexors. So breathing into it. Tucking the tailbone, take one more breath, lift the heart, lift the head. And then slowly release that. Take the right hand to the outside of the left leg. Left hand can come to the hip, and I'm doing my gentle twist over to the left. And then slowly come back to center. We're going to take our side bend here, so it's a little bit of a balance challenge. So go ahead and take the left fingertips to the top of your block. And when you're ready, send that right hand up and over. A little bit of a side bend to the left. Take one more breath, open the heart. And slowly release. And go ahead and move the block aside. We're done with it for now. Take the hands down, step back to table, and go ahead and find your child's pose or your puppy posture. So maybe just a neutral child's pose. Elbows can bend as much as you need. You can always place a block under the forehead if the floor feels far away. Take one more breath here. And then walk the hands back. Press back up to table. And we're going to go ahead and curl the toes under. Lift the hips up and back. Find your first downward dog. So check out your hands and feet. Sometimes the tendency is here, I'm going to try and exaggerate so you can see. Traditionally in yoga, we're taught that the hands and feet should be really far apart in downward dog. This makes me feel really off balance. I'm a very short person. And even if you're not a short person, everybody's center of gravity and anatomy is different. So my feet need to be closer to my hands so that I can get my hips up more. And that's really the goal, is to get the tailbone up towards the ceiling, not really to straighten the legs. So bend the knees as much as you need to. Press the shoulders down away from the ears. Maybe take your dog for a little walk here, bending one knee and then the other. You can also play with how wide your feet are. Traditionally, the feet are hip distance apart or closer. Sometimes I like to step mine a little wider. So you can take them out to the edges of the mat. That's also going to help take the pressure out of the arms to lift the hips. Take one more breath in your down dog. And then look up at your hands. Either walk or step up to meet them. Take the feet a little bit wider than hip distance and hang down into your forward fold. Bend the knees generously here. Maybe sway a little side to side. Maybe clasp the elbows. Maybe shake the head a little, yes and no. And when you're ready, release the hands. Bend the knees even more. Engage the core. Press into the feet as you come all the way up, rolling up through the spine. And when you arrive, Take your time. Go ahead and shake it out. All right. So let's come into our mountain pose. You can move any props off of your mat if you need to, so blankets, bolsters, blocks. All right. So from our mountain pose, feet are about hip distance apart. If that makes you feel stable, they can be a little bit closer as well. And let's inhale, reach the arms up, press the palms together, and take them down to the heart. And then inhale, lift the hands still together, and exhale, open the arms wide. 2 more times. Inhale, reach. Exhale, palms together at the heart. And inhale, lift the hands, palms still together. Exhale, open the arms wide and down. Last time. Inhale, reach. And exhale, hands together at the heart. And inhale, lift the palms. Exhale, open wide and down. All right. So we're going to grab actually 1 or 2 blocks because we're moving into a pyramid sequence. So you may want it, you may not, but better to have. So I like to use only 1 block for this. So go ahead and set it up near the top of your mat. Doesn't have to be directly on the mat, but within reach. And then let's take a big step back with that right foot. So big but comfortable step. So a couple of options here. If you want to move into Warrior One, which is what we traditionally do in this class at least before pyramid, you're welcome to go there. So that the back toes are about a 45-degree angle. Front toes are pointing forward. And you're dialing that right hip forward as you bend into the left knee. So if you want to try a little bit of a balance challenge today, I'm actually going to pivot on my back foot so that my back toes are pointing forward as well. And I'm taking a little bit of a wider step so that I can lift that back heel. So this is a high lunge or a crescent lunge. And my weight's a little bit more evenly distributed. So my heel is lifted. I'm tucking my tailbone. Think about what we did in that lunge. And I'm trying, I can scoot my foot a little forward. I'm trying not to let that front knee go past the ankle. So if you're in Warrior One or if you're here in high crescent lunge, hands can stay on the hips. They can come together at the heart, or you can lift them up, Warrior One arms. If you're lifting, make sure the shoulders are dropping. Give it 1 more breath here. Maybe lift the chest and forehead. And then release the hands back to the hips. If you're in crescent, go ahead and rotate on the back foot again. Drop that heel. So step the foot in a little bit, or up, I'm sorry, a little bit, and drop the heel. We're straightening through our front leg. Inhale to lengthen the spine. And exhale, start to fold into your pyramid. So hips are going back. Front knee can bend as much as you need to. Hands can land on the thigh, on the shin, or on your blocks, or even on the floor. Letting the head and neck go. See if you can distribute the weight evenly between both feet. See if you can feel like you're drawing that left hip back just a little bit. Give it 1 more breath wherever you are. And let's go ahead and bend through that front knee. Take your hands to the top of the thigh and press through the feet and hands to come all the way back up. Take as many steps as you need to get that right foot forward. And go ahead and shake out the legs. We're going to do the other side. All right. I'm actually going to turn around. I always point that way, so I'll give myself a little change of scenery. So this time we're going to take a big step back with the left foot. And again, if you're coming into warrior one, back toes are going to be at that angle, that 45-degree angle. So if your mat is a clock face, they're pointing at about the 10. And you're going to find that bend in the front knee. Hips are facing forward. If you want to challenge your balance today and come into that high crescent, then you're going to rotate on the back foot. Maybe step back a little bit more. So my toes are pointing forwards now, and my heel is lifted. And I'm still bending into that front knee. I'm tucking my tailbone. It's okay to have a little bit of a bend in that back knee. It'll help you tuck the tailbone actually. Hands can stay on the hips wherever you are. They can come together at the heart, or they can lift up. Warrior one arms. Nice deep, full breaths here. Take one more, maybe find a tiny back bend, lift the heart and forehead. And then release the hands down nice and slow. Careful and slow transitions here. If that back foot is lifted, go ahead and turn the foot to that 45-degree angle and drop the heel. And then inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, start to hinge at the hips, sending the tailbone back, dropping the chest forward. Hands can come to the thigh, they can come to the front of the leg, the shin. They can come to a block or all the way down to the ground. Dropping the head. If you're feeling any pain or pinching in the front of that, in the back of the right knee, go ahead and bend that knee. Breathing wherever you are. Imagine drawing that right hip back a little to square the hips. This may cause your right knee to straighten. Just go ahead and bend into it again if you need to. Give it one more deep, deep breath. And then slowly bend that right knee. Go ahead and take the hands to the top of the thigh. Press through your feet and hands to come all the way up. Let's step that back foot forward. Shake out the legs. Go ahead and set any blocks aside. All right. And from your mountain, let's inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, take the hands down the center line as you fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Bend the knees enough that you can bring the hands down to the mat. And if it's comfortable, go ahead and grab hold of your big toes with your first two fingers and thumb. And then from here, with the knees bent, inhale just to lengthen the back. And exhale, draw down on your toes. You're drawing your head down towards the mat. Even if it comes nowhere close, that's totally fine. This is called gorilla pose sometimes, or hand to big toe. Breathing into the back body. It's a very deep stretch. See if you can soften the neck. And then release the feet if you had hold of them. Go ahead and plant the hands. Step the feet back to downward dog. Check in with how far back you stepped. So we're going to start paying more attention in our down dog. Notice if your hips are lifting or if you're more flat, like almost into a modified plank. See if you can lift the hips back and up. Shorten your stance if you need to. Hands can be close to the feet. Give it one more breath here, building strength. And then release the knees. Find any version of child's pose or puppy posture that feels good for you. Remember, if the shoulders are tight, you can always bend the elbows more, take them out to the edges of the mat. You can also walk the elbows forward if you want to get into the shoulders and take that little namaste shark fin over the head. See if you can soften the breath, smoothing it out. Take one more deep, full breath here. And release the hands if you had them lifted. Go ahead and use the palms on your mat to walk yourself back. And we're going to stay in table. I'm going to turn to face you. So if you need to pad that left knee, go ahead. We're going to be working with the right foot. Excuse me. So from our table, I'm going to take my right foot out to the side with my right toes pointing forward. So my left hand and my left knee are in one line. And then I'm going to inhale, lift my right fingertips up. So be careful not to collapse into that left shoulder. Really press away with that hand. Take one more breath. And then slowly release the right hand to the right side of your mat. Maybe slide the right toes a little further. And inhale, we're going to send the left fingertips up. They may not go up very high, that's fine. And exhale, we're going to thread the needle. So if you know this is not a comfortable position for you to thread the needle, go ahead and lower both knees back to the mat. If you want to thread the needle here, you're reaching over in the direction of your toes, even if you're getting nowhere close to those right toes. So just like in regular thread the needle, the right hand can be by the face. It can extend forward. If you want to get more into the back, you can reach that right hand up or even take it to the low back. And then press into that right foot. Lean the hips a little bit back. So sit them back towards the back of your mat. Deep, full breaths. A deeper way to get into that left shoulder. Give it one more breath wherever you are. And nice and slow, release that right hand to the mat if it was lifted. Use it to help you unwind. Pressing back up. We're going to go ahead and bend the right knee. And the right toes are going to face right now. We're going to walk the hands back and come up. So go ahead and if you hadn't padded that left knee already, if you need to, please do it anytime. This shouldn't be painful in that knee. So I'm going to inhale and reach my arms up. Grab hold of the right wrist gently and gently draw it over to the left. So little side bend, leaning a little bit into that right foot. And then release the right forearm to the thigh. We're going to side bend the other way. So sweeping that left arm up if you want to. Pressing the left hip a little forward. That left hand can remain down on the hip if the shoulder is tight as well. And then slowly come up. We're going to release our hands down straight in front of us. And we're going to walk them all the way over to the right. If you need a little more space in the hip, you can move that right foot a little bit further away from your hands. So this is a little tricky. The left hand, which is the hand that's furthest from your foot, is going to be the one that stays on the floor. On the inhale, I'm going to reach my right hand up. I'm rotating my chest towards my thigh. Give it one more breath. And then slowly release. Let's go ahead and walk the hands back to center. Release that knee. And I'm going to turn this way again. We're going to curl the toes under, send the hips up and back. Find your down dog one more time. Maybe pedal it out again here. Maybe shift the hips a little from side to side. And then come back to center. Look up towards your hands. Walk or step up to meet them. Hang into your forward fold for one deep breath. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, soften and fold. Let's inhale, roll all the way up to standing, nice and slow. And exhale into your mountain. We're going to grab our blocks. So grab both of them if you have two. If you don't have a block or two blocks to use for this, maybe a bolster or a stack of pillows would also work. We just need something to sit up on. So I'm going to place my blocks on my mat. And they're stacked one on top of each other on their lowest setting. So I'm going to turn my back to my blocks, but I still want them to be real close to me. So we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, hands come down the center line as you fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. So I'm going to show you this from the side, and then I'll probably come to the front so you can see my front body. I'm going to bend my knees. My hands are on the floor for stability, and I'm going to walk my feet out to the edges of my mat, and I'm going to turn my heels in, toes out. So they're at about a 45-degree angle. Then I'm going to bend my knees and start to lower my hips down to the block, moving nice and slow. All right. So this is supported Malasana. I'm going to turn sideways, stay where you are. So knees are wide, toes are facing out, and I'm sitting up as much as possible. I'm going to take my hands together at the heart, and I'm going to use my elbows to gently press my knees a little bit wider. So this is low squat, or sometimes called garland pose. Breathing wherever you are. It's a great pose to get into the hips. A really good pose for digestion, for flexibility and strength here. And then go ahead and release the hands. I'm just going to drop my left hand down towards the mat. It doesn't matter which way the arm is facing, whatever's comfortable. And I'm going to use that right arm to gently press that left knee open. And then I'm going to reach my right arm up. Give it one more breath. And slowly release. Do the other side. So I'm going to drop my right arm. I'm going to press my right knee a little bit open gently. And inhale, sweep the left arm up. And then slowly release. So from here, it's a little tricky to get off of the blocks. I'm going to try and dive forward into table. It's probably not going to be super graceful. Any way that is easy for you, safe for you to get off the blocks, please do. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And then go ahead and set the blocks aside. We're coming back to our table. We're going to do that twist sequence and upward side bend on the left side. So go ahead and from your table, take the left toes out to the left. Left toes are pointing forward and the foot is in line with that right knee. My right hand is also in line with my right knee. And on your inhale, send the left fingertips up. Remember, press out of that right hand. Try not to collapse into the right shoulder. One more breath here. And then release the left hand to the left side of your mat. Maybe slide the left toes a little bit further if you'd like. Inhale, right fingertips reach. They may not go up very high. That's totally fine. And exhale, thread the needle. If this is an uncomfortable position for you to thread the needle, go ahead and release that left leg down to the mat. So from here, sitting your hips back a little bit. Maybe that left hand stays by your head. Maybe it lifts up towards the top of your mat. Maybe it even. So play with these positions. See what feels good for you. Pressing into the left toes, even though this is a more active version of this pose. See if you can find places to soften. And when you're ready, slowly releasing that left hand down if it was lifted, using it to help press yourself up and unwind. We're going to bend the left knee. Left toes are pointing to the left, and I'm going to walk my hands back and up. All right. Inhale, reach the arms up. Grab hold of the left wrist and gently pull over to the right. I'm leaning my weight a little bit into that left foot. And then slowly release the left forearm to the left thigh. And you can just open from here, just opening the chest and finding a little lift, or you can inhale, send the right arm up and over. Pressing that right hip a little bit forward. And then slowly releasing. Let's release our hands down in front. And we're going to walk them over towards the left. So moving that left foot a little bit further back will help give you some space in the hips, so a little further away from your feet. This time my right hand is the hand that's furthest from my foot. I'm going to keep it planted on the mat. On the inhale, my left fingertips are going to sweep up and I'm rotating my chest towards that left leg. And here I'm still pressing that right hand into the floor, not collapsing into the shoulder. Give it one more breath. And slowly release. Walk the hands back to center. Go ahead and release the knees. And we're going to come on to our back. So take your time. Grab any props that you think you're going to need for Shavasana. We're not going to use any for our last couple poses. But if you want some support or a bolster or blanket for Shavasana, please go ahead and grab it now. All right. And I will meet you on our backs. And when you arrive on your back, go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. Maybe rock a little side to side. If it's not comfortable to have the knees into the chest, you can just take windshield wipers instead. Maybe take a moment to row the knees apart from each other and then together again. Just kind of circling and opening the hips. And then reversing the direction if you were circling. And then hug the knees into the chest. We're going to keep that right knee in, and we're going to extend the left leg long down the mat. So squeeze that right knee in, and then open the right knee just a little bit out to the right. Take one more breath here. And then slowly start to take that right knee across the body, Coming into our supine twist. That right arm can come out to the right straight, or you can bend at the elbow. Depends on what feels best for you and what you have the space for. So we're not trying to press that right knee down to the floor. We're just trying to open the right side of the hip as much as possible while keeping that right shoulder blade on the floor. So maybe your head turns over to the right a little if that feels comfortable for the neck. Deep, deep, full breaths here. Give it one more breath wherever you are. And then if your head is turned, take it back to center nice and slow. Slowly start to draw that right knee back to center as well. Go ahead and release the foot to the mat. Bend that left knee, take your feet as wide as your yoga mat, and do some windshield wipers. And then come back to center. Let's go ahead and hug that left knee in this time. Extend the right leg long. And then I'm going to open that left knee just a little bit out to the left. I'm still holding on to it with my hand for some support. Inhale here. And exhale, start to cross that left knee over to the right. I like to use my right hand to help me, to guide that leg over, to hold on to it for some stability. You can also always prop a block or a bolster under that knee if it feels uncomfortable just hanging there in space. Left arm can open out to the side, or you can take that half cactus arm by bending the elbow. Trying to keep the left shoulder blade down, so not twisting so far that you're lifting that shoulder. And breathing into the left side body. If you want to turn the chin to the left, you can, only if that's uncomfortable for the neck. If you feel any pain or pinching, please bring the head back to center. Take one more breath here. And then slowly take your head back to center if it was turned. Draw that left knee back up. Release the foot to the mat. Bend the right knee. Take one more set of windshield wipers. Nice and slow. Dropping the knees side to side. And then go ahead and extend one leg long and then the other. Reach one arm up overhead and then the other. Take a nice full body stretch. Really point through the toes, reach through the fingers. And then slowly release the arms down. Beginning to set up for your version of Shavasana, whatever feels right to you today. So legs can stay extended, the knees can bend. You can take a bolster under the knees. You can take a bolster under the back. So finding any final poses you might need, any comfortable position for your Shavasana. Hands can come to the belly if that's comfortable, or they can open, palms face up at the sides. Allowing the eyes to soften or to close when you've found your final resting pose. And let's all take a deep, deep, full breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh it out. Deep, deep, full breath in through the nose. Fill up the belly. Exhale, sigh it out. Make some noise. One more time. Deep, deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Feel free to sigh a few more times if that's what the body needs. Gradually letting the breath return to its natural rhythm. Feeling your body begin to grow a little heavier, a little softer, a little looser. No need to hold anything, no need to tighten the muscles anymore. Just letting them release to gravity. And letting the forehead broaden. And letting all the muscles around the eyes soften. Temples, jaw, cheekbones, all melting, softening, loosening. Moving down the body, letting the whole front body just open and soften. And feeling the mat beneath you, the floor beneath that. Imagining that it's rising up to meet you, creating this safe space, this cradle for the body. Taking a few more quiet moments here. Releasing anything that's no longer serving you. Absorbing your practice. Slowly beginning to bring your attention back into your body and back to your breath. Beginning to take a few deeper breaths. lengthening each inhale and each exhale. Feeling how this begins to wake up the body, maybe continuing the process by finding some movement in the fingers and toes, in the wrists and ankles. Maybe it would feel good to take one last full body stretch, or to draw the knees into the chest, or take some windshield wipers. Any gentle, easy movement that feels good to you. And when you're ready, bending the knees if they aren't already, making your way onto whichever side is most comfortable, using your top arm to gently press yourself up into a seat whenever you're ready. Sitting up nice and tall when you arrive, allowing the eyes to soften or close. Just noticing how you're feeling at the end of your practice. Playing that passive observer again, remembering that there is no right way you should be feeling. Just noticing what's there. And if it's comfortable, drawing the hands together at the heart. Feeling in your practice today, taking a moment of gratitude here to yourself for making this time, this space to be with your breath and your practice on the mat. I thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful for your continued support of me, of our yoga community. I enjoy seeing you every time we come to class. Thank you so much. Namaste.